nobody is trying to belittle a certain demographic. They're just
Right.
trying to make light of just everyday scenarios. And, some people like to take it too personally. A lot of people don't. And the ones that do, it's cool. There's 2,000 other channels and
Yeah.
streaming apps that you can choose from.
Welcome to episode number 20. I am joined today by Ben Rood. Ben is an independent film producer, director, and writer. Most recently released the independent comedy Movers Ultimate, which I recently watched on Amazon. That is actually how I crossed paths initially with Ben. It was a recommended movie on Amazon. After I watched Role Models, it said you might also enjoy Movers Ultimate, and I did, and the rest is history. How are we doing today, Ben?
I'm good. I didn't know that it was recommended after role models. That's the ultimate honor.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the algorithm they know you quite well.
Yeah. Oh, nice, dude. That's
Yeah.
in good company for sure. That's one of the
Oh,
movies I was watching as research when we were putting the script together.
oh nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
They must have heard me talking when we were doing notes.
Yeah. No,
One
that
role
that
model, Sean William Scott, says this.
yeah. But yeah, could you just give us a brief overview of what got you into the film industry and what your path has looked like to this point?
Oh, brief. I'm 36, brother.
Fair enough. No, it doesn't have to be too brief.
No, I'm kidding. I'll keep it easy for you. It's been a fun like 18 years or so. But yeah, I mean, like just growing up, my mom always had me watching the classics. When I was 5 years old, she had me watching The African Queen, which is like watching paint dry when you're that old. But she's like, you need to watch this. You'll appreciate this. I'm just whatever. And then the next week we're watching Jaws, which had the opposite effect on a 5-year old. It traumatized me, and
Yeah.
like I didn't bathe for a week. Like I was yeah, it just scared me out of my neighbor's pool for the entire summer, and
Oh
so
my
she,
God, same here. I watched it
yeah,
when I was like 9. I was afraid to swim in swimming pools.
somehow that movie's PG. That's false advertising.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so just growing up with just a huge movie buff, she just raised me right. And then just when I turned 16, I was like, oh my gosh, film school's a thing. And so yeah, I was fortunate enough to go to college to Ohio University, and I got to study it there with a lot of really good friends of mine. We all still keep in touch and help each other on our each other's projects. And moved to LA for a while, and then just kind of learned a lot and just made some good connections out there. And then when I wasn't kind of like moving up to that step, like, hey, I'm like a production assistant, but I really want to direct, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, man, throw a rock, you and everybody else. And so
Yeah.
it's just kind of, well, duh, that's why everybody lives here. And so I moved home back into my parents' basement and had this wild idea that I could get like just any job with a film degree, which is moving furniture. That's what you're qualified for. And so I did that for the next 3.5 years and just saved all of my money and just made my own first movie. So I wrote it, directed it, produced it, learned how to edit for it, which was terrifying. And then that was like probably the best decision I ever made, which like got me to finding an investor to make my second movie, to leading on to kind of finding out how to build an audience for my third movie, what I'm working on right now.
Right on. Yeah. So that was Maximum Coppage that you were just speaking on.
Oh, Max Cop was actually this short film. It's this awesome. My roommates and I would just watch 80s just action movies, like
Yeah.
Van Damme, Chuck Norris, like Stallone, and we're just kind of, let's make our own 80s cop movie,
Yeah.
but like today. And so we wrote this awesome script, and it's like, there's no way we can make this. So we were so broke out there, but we raised money to shoot a proof of concept, and we shot 9 minutes. We shot the first 9 minutes of the script, and it was like we were out there. It'd been years, and we finally had something to show for ourselves. And we went to AFM, the American Film Market, and the second we walked in there, my back gave out in the lobby. Like I hear
Shit.
Gary Busey's over here yelling a story about the making of Point Break, and I'm like gawking for 1 second, and then I collapsed like a sack of dominoes in the lobby.
Oh
And
my
it was just
God.
like, so I didn't exactly move home like back to Ohio voluntarily. Like my spine like gave out from like years of like manual labor, which is, in the future I end up working as a furniture mover. Never claimed to be smart. Um, so Max Cop was a short film that we did, long story short. And the first movie I made was a horror movie called Don't Run.
Uh-huh. And you produced that after you moved back to Ohio pretty quickly, it sounds like.
Yeah, correct. So we kept kind of pitching Max Cop for a while. I had Michael Dudikoff's agent, if you know who that is. He did the American Ninja movie back in the '80s, and he's one of those guys. He's awesome.
Uh-huh.
He's got a fan base, and so I ended up like talking to his agent. I said, "Hey, we're putting this movie together," and he goes, "No, not in your life, kid." But the fact that I was able to actually get in contact with somebody was probably the most hype that short film ever saw. And then
Yeah.
yeah, it's just eventually we were like, it's time to move on and try and find something else to stick to the wall.
Right on. Fair enough. Yeah. So then Movers Ultimate, could you give us the story on how this movie came to be and
Oh,
what
sure.
the production was like?
Yeah, so like those years while I was putting Don't Run together and I was
Mm.
moving furniture, I had all these just wild stories, working for a moving company, which we won't name, but it sounds something like a couple guys in a vehicle. And, I like working outside. I like working with my hands, but it's a wild blue collar job, and
Mm.
moving people is constantly being around. People don't just move for fun. They're always moving because there's a serious life event that's happening to them. It's not just because it's a Tuesday. They're either getting married, divorced, fired, promoted, or somebody died, pretty much. So all these experiences I put together into a script, which I kind of saw as waiting, but for furniture movers, as
Mm.
waiting to serve service employees.
That's such a great comparison.
Yeah. And just in film school, that was one thing that shout out to our screenwriting professor, Eric Williams, always said. He actually had some luck selling some scripts. And he said, you're going to get to a point, you're going to make something, someone's going to talk to you, and you want to be able to have something tangible that you can say, this is what you're going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had these two scripts ready to go. One was this epic World War Z-esque zombie invasion movie, which obviously I pitched first. And just as patient as this investor came up to me after Don't Run came out, and he goes, he's always got a pension. He's the nicest guy. He's just like, well, I think maybe that's your third or fourth movie. What do you want to do for your second movie? And I was like, well, I got this other script about furniture movers trashing some lady's house because they want to get off work to make it their 10-year high school reunion and get with the girls that got away. He goes, I like that one. Yeah, read that. And
That's funny. And then
yeah,
he was the investor for the film?
hmm
Awesome.
yeah. He was a guy that I'd known growing up in Mason, where I'm at in Ohio, and found out, when I moved home and I was using his driveway to shoot a scene for Don't Run. And he came
Mm-hmm.
out to me and he just goes, Ben, this is really cool. And I was just really busy, with the scene. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, I know. Thanks, Denny. Like, I really appreciate that. And then he's like, you ever want any help with this? Let me know. And I'm like, yeah, totally. Not even thinking twice about it. And then,
Yeah.
years pass and I can't even remember what happened. I bumped into him at a wedding. And he just kind of mentioned it again. And I said, oh my gosh, are you saying that you want to give me money? And then we actually had like a really great partnership. Me, his entire family got involved. And we just all we talked about the movie. They gave me pretty much all the creative control. They handled a large majority of the business side of it. And it was just a really, really fun experience going through college and high school. I absolutely worshipped and still do all the Judd Apatow movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wedding Crashers.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Role Models. Just that awesome, just raunchy comedy. It's just such
Yes.
an outlet. And I watched the director's commentary on all of them, and finally I go, okay, this is my shot to do mine.
Yeah.
So they gave me my opportunity to make essentially my dream movie.
I fucking love it, and that's such the dream that you got this investor to come on and you got full creative control. Like that is such a unicorn story.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting chills about it, man. It didn't release as well as we'd hoped, and that's just the nature of the industry right now, which is totally fine. The amount of eyeballs that we've gotten on it are just astronomical, and every once in a while, I'll just feel egotistical and I'll just Google Movers Ultimate reviews, and I'm like, somebody else saw it and had
Yeah.
the time to write about it. I'm like, yep. Yeah, it's definitely like a weight off your shoulders, which you're going to feel really soon, as soon as you kind of get like your baby out into the world.
Right on, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I love the Judd Apatow reference. I'm a big fan of him as well. I've taken his master class and listened to anything I can from him. And there's a lot less, but from Todd Phillips and Seth MacFarlane too. Those are two big guys from this era. And yeah, I mean, it's so cool to connect with someone who has a similar vision and loves the same sorts of comedies. And that was like really when I saw Movers Ultimate, I was just so happy to see another low budget.
You're like, I can do it.
Yeah. Just seeing another low budget independent film that was in the vein of the same sort of movie that I love and the same sort of movie that I enjoy making. It's just so cool. And, it's like because you don't really see these movies anymore.
It's a very touchy audience these days. That would be my suspicion.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. No, I mean, I have not been shy at all about all of the crying that comes along with these movies and all of the politically correct bullshit. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, it really is. It's a small segment of people, a very vocal minority, and like these aren't really the people that these movies are even made for to begin with.
I agree. Yeah, and then there's the silent majority, which are people like you and I mean, we're only less silent because we're literally beating doors down saying that we're making a movie and we'd like you to watch it. But everybody does. I do part-time firefighting, like literally just enough to put it on my resume. But when I'm there, there's a reason that firefighters are some of the funniest people that I will ever meet. And it's because everybody has stresses in their life. And, like sometimes like we'll see things that maybe are a little above average, from time to time when we're at work. And at nighttime, like, dude, they're like, hey, Rood, find us a movie. And they love to laugh. We all love to laugh.
Yeah.
And just these kind of movies they're a release, man. I really think they're therapeutic, Everybody that makes them has the best intentions. Nobody is trying to belittle a certain demographic. They're just trying to make light of just everyday scenarios. And, some people like to take it too personally. A lot of people don't. And the ones that do, it's cool. There's 2,000 other channels and streaming apps that you can choose from.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, I'm optimistic that it's going to change at some point. I mean, if you look at the eras through film, we have, even though like social media didn't exist, there were times where it was like, okay, we can't joke around anymore. We can't have fun. Like anything in this genre is just going to be stupid. And then we see a rebirth. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but I think at some point in the near future, we're going to see a change. I mean, people are really craving it. An example I always give is the Tom Brady roast. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I did. I think I was actually at the station when that was on, so I got to catch like most of it. Was Nikki Glaser on there?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's the first time I ever like saw her or heard of her, and I've seen 2 additional stand-ups of her ever since. Yeah, that was amazing. And Tom was funny too. All right.
He was okay.
For him?
For him, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I thought Belichick was really funny. But I always point to that because when I was watching that, so it's like I don't care. You can't really offend me with a movie or a stand-up special or whatever. But when I was listening to that, I could not believe the kinds of things that were coming out of some of the people's mouths. It was like, this feels like 2005 right now. Like they, yeah, exactly. And then it goes out and it breaks the streaming record for Netflix. It's like the most streamed original piece of Netflix content ever. It's like, this isn't a movie, but it clearly is. Like, everyone was like, oh shit, we can have fun again.
Yeah.
And I'm optimistic that and, Dave Chappelle, I mean, he's all the money he brings in and he just does not give a fuck. I've got a feeling that these are going to be real signals that it's okay to make a Wedding Crashers or an American Pie or a Euro Trip or whatever. Like, people will show up. Yes, there will be people crying on Reddit or whatever, but who cares?
I think that's just going to be, and I think it's already starting. People are just getting desensitized by it. At first everybody would just flinch. I had no idea that I was upsetting you. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of, wait a minute. It's like, you've always been around here. Just, you finally feel the need to ruin the fun for everybody else. That's cool, man. Like, you go play over there. I'll go play over here. I'm going to listen to this with my headphones on. Don't judge me. It's fine. I'm not the only one. Everyone, I am Spartacus. Everyone raise your hands if you're enjoying Nikki Glazer roast Tom Brady's ass. Yeah, it's fucking funny.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I hope everyone is enjoying this podcast. I just wanted to jump in real quick and say, if you love comedy movies and miss the R-rated comedy movies of the 2000s, I currently have a comedy movie in post-production that I wrote, directed, and produced titled Hometown Summer. The movie is very much in vein of the 2000s-style R-rated comedies and follows the story of three childhood best friends whose plan to attend the same college is thrown for a whirl in a summer filled with drugs, sex, and bad business decisions. The movie is set for release in 2025, and you can follow the movie's progress on Instagram by following @Wolverines Productions, by signing up for our email list at hometownsummer.com, or by subscribing to this YouTube channel. All of these relevant links will be posted in the description along with the pinned comment. I hope you enjoy the rest of this podcast episode. Yeah, and I mean, sort of in this vein, one of the questions I wanted to ask, because something that was unique about Movers Ultimate that I just haven't seen in a while, and the comedy that I do see where this happens is few and far between. Like, I actually laughed several times throughout the movie.
Thanks.
And I'm curious if you have any insights to how you produce laughs on screen, whether it be via writing or in the direction you give in the performances.
Oh, man. I mean, like, I feel like I've always been a writer first. Or, like, for whatever that means to anybody, it's like, I'm seeing, like, his shit. Like, that's his writing. It's like, I guess what I should say is I've always loved it. It's what got me into wanting to make movies. Unfortunately, what I learned when I was at Ohio University was that everybody wants to be a writer, because that's the job you can do from your computer with a case of beer next to you and then just turn in your work and then just kind of reap the benefits. It's like, say my words, it's going to be awesome. And so, because I learned that half of my class wanted to be writers, it's all right, cool, well, I guess I better learn how to direct. And so I kind of threw this web series together, and it was just awful. It's called Party Heroes, and it's like, I just thought I can make Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but a web series about 4 dudes in college called Party Heroes. And then I'm just, there's actually things that happen behind the scenes that I need to do too. Like, how am I going to get equipment? Oh, I guess that's like what a producer does.
Yeah.
And so I just started like learning how to do all these things because I wanted to be able to write. And so, long story short, I put a lot of time into the script, and then shout out to Frederick Lewis, one of my instructors, told me, he's like, Ben, you can't get too married to your words. So there's that nice balance where you got to give it out to your actors. Casting's a huge thing. You find out who gets it. You know what I mean? There's a million actors out there, but I swear there's only one guy I found that could play Chad. And he's the one that has no sleeves on. It's kind of got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
I looked at like thousands of people, and he's the one guy that thought, and he had to put on 20 pounds of muscle for the role. So he wasn't even there yet.
Yeah.
But I just made him audition 4 times. We had a lot of talks, and then just getting to know him. And then I just kind of worked the rest of the script around him as we just kept on building the character.
Yeah.
And I heard like back in the good old days, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid's one of my favorite movies, and so I've read a lot about the making of that.
Mhm.
And Paul Newman, Robert Redford, Catherine Ross, they would just sit with George Roy Hill for just, like a couple hours every single day, and they would just kind of hash it out. Like what are we going to do? What sounds good? What's the best way to make this scene as enjoyable for the audience as possible?
Mhm.
And then I want to say a couple of the best. There were two scenes in the movie that had to be rewritten
Mhm.
because the layout of the house, we were cheating for when they were in the basement. It was actually the upstairs, and the middle floor was actually the basement. And just when they were coming out of a room, it was definitely going to contradict somewhere they'd been before. So
Mhm.
I just said, I need like 15 minutes. I have to go rewrite a scene. And we were already 2 weeks into shooting. So I'd seen what their strengths were,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, those are the two best scenes of the movie.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just kind of, you do the best that you can, but at the same time, your words are now their words. So you want to be able to support them in any way that you can.
Yeah, I think that that's such a great piece of advice, definitely playing to everyone's strengths. You hear that with a lot of movies that they rewrite around who they end up casting. A lot of times people write to try to
Mm-hmm.
cast someone, and everyone has their own unique voice. I think that that's a really great piece of advice. So then I'm curious, did you do any improv on set then?
Yeah, we would say 90% of the words, maybe a little bit more, from the script or in the movie.
Hmm.
And it's a lot of the mannerisms or just like wild things that they would kind of do with their hands. They would just throw something across the room at each other. I just said, all right, let's do one, do one for me. And then it's just, what you're doing. You know what the point is.
Yeah.
Go do your thing. I'm like, let's just see if we can make this better. Let's just do it better and better. And every single scene, I would say, all right, let's go shoot the best scene of the movie. Outdo whatever you just did and just keep going and
Hmm.
just try and have fun out there and hit your marks because Jeff's getting tired of pulling focus.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's quite similar with my upcoming film. I'd say it's roughly about 90% as well. And I always like to, if you have time, I mean, for anyone who hasn't made a movie, I mean, time is everything on set, and you never have enough. No
Mm-hmm.
matter what you do, you could always say, "Oh, I could use more time here," or whatnot. But whenever there was time, I like to give an improv take as well. You can get some really cool, unscripted, and really super authentic moments from that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. But I
yeah,
mean, like, dude, but it costs you money.
yeah,
So it's how bad do you want it? Do we
yeah,
have it in the can? I don't know. Do we need the next scene? How long is that going to take?
right, yeah. No, that definitely is a struggle. And so, yeah, I mean, completely agree that casting is really everything. And yeah, I mean, you really can't settle. And a lot of times, which I found interesting throughout my journey, through the first two films I've made, and now I'm in pre production for the third one. And it's like, it's not always the most, actually, not only is it not almost, not always, I think it actually very rarely is it the most talented overall actor is the one that is the right for the role. I think with comedy, like you, a lot of the times, like, yeah, you're, the person who can do the best comedic performance might not be as talented as another actor, but
Yeah.
they embody the character and they understand the elements of comedy on a deeper level.
I think there might be a lot more humility to that. To the people who just want to be funny. No, it's tough. I mean, look at like Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber,
Mm-hmm.
who was, nominated for Academy Awards going into that. And then that goofball comes in and gives like the best performance of his entire career.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I think like you can be both. You can be like Jeff, but also at the same time,
100%.
you're not going to see Daniel Day Lewis going out there, and playing freaking Harry.
Yeah, that's such a really good point that I didn't even think of it. You just brought up, like, yeah, like it definitely does take that humility, and yeah, I mean that could be what is holding some actors back, why
We
they don't
had,
get the same kinds of laughs.
yeah, I mean, some people are just wired a little bit, they're just a little bit better for comedy,
Hmm.
than other people. So, like, I watched Thief this morning, with James Caan. It's a 1982 Michael Mann movie that I've been like dying to see. They just put it on Tubi. Woke up at like 5:30, and I'm like, all right, cool. Morgan's asleep. I'm gonna go watch a movie I'd never get to watch, if she was awake with me right now. And he is one of the most like hardened, just like really tough as nails, cool characters ever. And I just remember listening to Jon Favreau talking about what it was like directing James Caan in Elf. And and it's just like, man, this guy's awesome. I don't know that comedy came quite as naturally to him. Obviously, he was able to deliver it, but you always kind of see like that hint that Clint Eastwood, like look in his eye, and some people, they're just wired differently. In our movie, we had Jeremy Farley, who played one of the slacker dudes. He was wearing a cutoff. He was wearing the forward hat, and he was the last person that I cast. And I just remember he came in, and I think he gave me the biggest laughs. He had the least amount of training. He trained as a mime more than he ever trained as any other actor. I couldn't be happier with anybody else like playing these roles. These guys delivered exactly what I wanted. I'm so in debt to them. But Jeremy was the biggest underdog. And I just remember we couldn't even film takes like while watching him. Our AC, Cody, would just say, all right. And he would mark it. And he's like, I'm just going to go stand out in the hallway
Yeah,
for this one. And he's just this dude who just came off the street and just crushed it. It's like,
yeah,
the sound guy's like, who's this mime kid? He's killing me.
yeah, yeah. And I think that brings up another thing. Like, I think you really got to go for it. Like, you really got to get that full commitment if you're doing a comedic scene, comedic role. You got to be
Mm-hmm.
willing to take a lot of risks. I mean, I think that goes hand in hand with the humility that you mentioned.
Yeah, when everybody's in there together. So I read, like a lot of books on filmmaking. That's what you do when you live in the Midwest, because like you read about people making movies because you're not surrounded by them. And so
Right.
the making of Caddyshack is absolutely incredible. And they all just stayed at some hotel down in Florida where they were shooting the movie, and they just partied and hung out all the time. The Way Back is another one of my favorite comedies, and they all just stayed in these you know, like these Cape Cod cabins, and they got really tight together. And so I got this giant Airbnb house where they all just got their rooms, and they got to like really stay together, and they formed this bond. And every single day, you could see everybody was just closer and closer. And the closer you are, it's like a team. You got to trust each other, and the more you trust each other, the more fun you could
Mhm.
see they were just having on set. The first couple of days I couldn't even see straight. I was so stressed. I literally would have to like, where are we right now?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. The HOA is trying to shut us down. The cops are outside. Ugh. But like by day
I've
like
been there.
five, yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's just part of it. Like
Yeah.
put it on my tab.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the more camaraderie they have in each other, the more trust they have, and then the more fun
Yeah.
they're all going to have. Which is, I think, the secret about making a comedy.
Yeah. That's a really good one for sure. Yeah. Changing gears a bit, you are working on Station Zero, correct?
Oh yeah,
Could you tell us a bit about that?
yeah. Firefighters killing zombies. So this movie came about just my first two movies that I did. The guys at the firehouses I've worked at have been just some of our biggest supporters, and
Mhm.
it's just like they're just all over it. They're showing it up online. They're telling their friends about it. They're all like buying it online, the digital rentals. And it's like, guys, I'm going to come in a few days. We can all just watch it together. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, we want to support you. You guys are amazing. And so I'm just thinking, like, well, you need an audience to make a movie.
Hmm.
And this is just the greatest audience I could possibly think of. What can I do? I'm talking about all these '80s cop movies that I used to watch back in the day. Like if you remember Canon Films back in the 80s and early 90s, like Invasion USA, Bloodsport, they did all
Mm.
those. And I'm just, what kind of exploitation movie can I do for firefighters? Firefighters killing zombies. Oh my gosh, this sounds so cool. I've always wanted to see what it looks like to crush a zombie's head with the spreaders that you use to rip car doors off.
Mm.
I later found out through many people on like Instagram, through my page I put together, that there's a movie called Let's Be Cops, and I guess they like pitched this idea, and it's like the B story of the entire movie. They're trying to make a movie or a video game about firefighters killing zombies. I'm like, I swear it was an accident. I'm not trying to rip anybody off,
That's
but
funny.
whatever, man. Fast and Furious, Point Break, like everybody's gonna like
Oh
do
yeah.
at some point.
Yeah, no, every story's been told, yeah.
Um, and so one of the things we learned about Movers Ultimate was that when it came time to sell it, the internet metrics had slashed a lot the ways that we were planning on releasing it straight on VOD. And so instead of fighting the saturation of all of these movies that are out there, the entire idea was to bring an audience to a movie. And so I hired somebody to design a poster for it, for
Mm-hmm.
this like cool idea that I had. And then I kind of started writing the script, like based off this idea for a poster, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So we shot a proof of concept, showed that to people, got their feedback. They really liked it. And now I've got like 6 versions of the script written, one for each different budget that we're able to raise.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to launch a crowdfunder in April, on April 1st, to
Okay.
see what kind of money we could raise for Station Zero or firefighters killing zombies.
Right on. Yeah, no, that's exciting stuff for sure. And yeah, what is you said you have a specific Instagram page. Is it, what is the handle on that?
Yeah, Station Zero movie.
At
And
Station Zero movie. Okay.
if you
I will
go to
plug that in the show notes as well.
oh, that would be awesome. Have you seen the proof of concept we did?
That's the one you're acting in it, right? And you come out after just
default.
banging the actress.
Yeah, my pants are off in the opening scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, my girlfriend loved that.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
The hydraulic spreaders people who let us borrow the tool had my credit card on lockdown, so I was like, all right, this is like I don't know, what is it, a $30,000 piece of equipment? Okay, I think I'm going to be the one that operates this.
Yeah. Right, yeah, smart. Yeah, no, it's really looks really professional. How many days did that take to shoot? Did you shoot that in one night?
It was one really long night.
Yeah.
Called off work, like it started at 5 o'clock at night and ended at 5 o'clock in the morning or so. It was not supposed to take quite as long. And then, so let's say we shot it on Sunday night, got off Monday. I think, I don't know, like Tuesday morning, like I called off work. I was supposed to go move furniture, and I just texted my boss. I'm like, I feel ill, man. These night shoots are a young man's game. I mean, I'm not like an antique or anything, but dude, when I was your age, it would have been no sweat.
Right.
10 years later, that was awful. We're just going to black out the windows and shoot during the day when we do this for real. That is not worth it.
Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
I know I'm 26, but still, no, that is what we did with Hometown Summer. We just blacked out the windows. We just stayed on a normal schedule. We shot 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. and it worked out for everyone because pretty much everyone's awake during those hours. And yeah,
Yeah, you can go and keep somewhat of a regular schedule.
for sure. Yeah. No, that's really cool stuff, and that's cool that you have different plans for different budget ranges. I'll definitely be happy to contribute to the crowdfund when it launches. And
Thanks, man.
yeah, no, I love your vision and your take on making independent films. I think you're doing everything for the right reasons, and we got to stick together.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah. If you ever ask for money, I'll throw you a bone too.
Hell yeah.
One of the things that we did with Station Zero, just gotta like say thanks to Frank and Cody. And Cody was my DP for Don't Run, and then he was my AC for Movers Ultimate, and then he was my AD. He's kind of all over the map. He's a director too. He's one of
Yeah.
the best writers ever. He needs to start submitting some scripts. He's someone that could like sell a spec. His writing's so good.
Oh wow. Okay.
And Frank Frank used to be like the guy who supplied the majority of equipment for some shows like House Hunters and Storage Wars. He was like an integral part of those shows,
Hmm.
and he stopped by Movers Ultimate to work with us to work as just like a grip, and he just had a day off, and then he was able to cancel his other gig for the next few weeks because he had so much fun with us, and
Oh
he was
yeah.
just like light years ahead. He's got several just storage units full of gear. It's literally his own studio, and these guys have just been with me like from the get go. Just we're going from like project to project now, and you build your crew. I'm not sure if you've kind of experienced that yet when you
Yeah.
go from movie to movie, and
Yeah. I
everything
mean,
just kind of
yeah,
it just upgrades.
100%. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you definitely. Yeah, I brought a couple people over from Rosetta Stone, my first feature to Hometown Summer, and there's
Nice.
definitely some people that, some actors that I brought back as well. And yeah, I mean, you definitely, it's cool. Like I think about it, like it'll be cool, like 10 years from now to be like, oh, a couple of you were here for Rosetta Stone. Like that's like cool, like all through all the
You
years,
got
the
to
progressions and everything.
enunciate that D at the end of it. I totally forgot that you did that. Rosetta Stoned.
Yeah, yeah, because it's a
We're talking
stoner
raunchy
comedy.
comedies, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, community's everything. And yeah, I mean, you live and you learn. And yeah, I mean, it's night and day. If you get everyone together and everyone is having a great time and you just have this great sense of community, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a
And you're
lot of fun. Movies can be a lot of work. Well, they're a lot of work no matter what, but they can
sure.
feel like
It's
work,
easier when you
work.
find your tribe.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that extra support definitely helps you get through, those 12 plus hour days, whatever you're doing. At least you're
Yeah.
smart and, like shooting night for day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so then my next question was, I was curious because you do Station Zero, and you would say this is, would you say it's like horror comedy with an emphasis on horror? Would that be an accurate emphasis or an accurate description?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like a ton of fun, and I really do look forward to following along and supporting it and watching it when it comes out. At the same time, I'm curious, do you have any aspirations to jump back into hard comedy?
Yeah. I want to make Movers Ultimate too. I didn't want to even touch that idea, like 6 months after we released that. I just wanted
Yeah.
to go on vacation. This has been just years of development and planning around COVID, and then
Oh my
like
god.
that whole gambit, and then releasing, dealing with shifting streaming options, blah blah blah. You know it.
Yeah.
And now it's just kind of all right. I've had a break. Those people were awesome. I loved the entire cast and crew. I've got so many other stories I'd love to do,
Hmm.
and going back, it's just I know I could just do it even better. You
Yeah.
look back at a movie and it's like I'm so proud of it, but it's like oh we could have done this here. Like probably should have like waited a few frames here, like add some music here, and you could go through and just like really finesse your work. But just
Yeah. I'm
work part
very
of it.
guilty of that.
Hmm. But yeah, it's fun, man. I love dick jokes.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
professor said it was a phase. It's not. I'm almost 40.
Yeah, that's so funny that you mentioned that though, because so Rosetta Stone, that was my first everything. Like I didn't even make a short film. I jumped right into the feature world. And I look at it now and it's like even now.
That's
It's like
bold.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, no, good
I
for you,
just I
man.
got that bug and I was like I'm going to do this one way or the other. And if I
Mhm.
fail, I fail, but at the end of the day like I am going to make a movie at the bare
Yeah.
minimum.
Well, if you fail with that, you fail forward. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And those are two completely different things. Very
Yeah.
rarely does someone fail, I think, when they're making a movie, unless you're just looking at it. It's all practice, and you don't get to be on set every single day. It's way
Yeah.
too expensive to practice. But when you do, at least you're failing forward for hometown summer. I guarantee is going to look into every the aesthetic is going to be better than Rosetta Stone.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah, and that's well that's because I'm I've completely outlined my next film, and I'm going to start writing it very soon. But it's not high school. So like Rosetta Stone was high school, Hometown Summer's college. This next one's like mid 20, early 30s, and
Oh yeah.
I'm already getting the bug though for number 4. Like I was just going on my walk today, and I was already brainstorming number 4, even though I haven't even started fully writing number 3. And it's like I have to do a high school comedy, like because I just see everything that I could just do so much better. Like it'll be night and day. Like between this one and Rosetta Stone, I just tear apart Rosetta Stone, and rightfully so. Uh,
I haven't seen it. Whatever, man. It's like it's the first movie though.
yeah, 100%. But just that urge to like make a really strong high school comedy, it's like I got to do it. I got to go back, and I got to right the wrongs of Rosetta Stone. I'm so excited to make another high school comedy, and it's just so I love it so much because I can already see like Hometown Summer hasn't even been released yet, and I can just see how movie number 3 is going to be better. And it's like, okay, high school comedies. Spoiler alert: 4 of my top 5 comedies of all time are high school comedies. Like this is my favorite subgenre. It's like I'm so excited for movie number 4, even though I haven't even started fully writing number 3 or even shooting it. Like I just know just the way things go. Number 4 will be the best movie to date because you just progress, and I'm just so
Yeah.
excited to have that crack at that next high school comedy, even though I probably won't even start shooting it until like 2028.
Well, do you have a concept yet, or well, I guess high school would be the concept. Do you have any kind of storyline, or are you just like, nah, man, I know these characters. There's just so much material I can work with. I want to go back and like give it another shot.
Yeah, I mean, so that I didn't want to do. I didn't want it to be too similar to Rosetta Stone, so there's going to be much different characters. I've already started brainstorming my characters for it, and I want to do it throughout senior year, like before everyone goes off to their different paths, like go to the different universities, go to the military, take a gap year, whatever the case may be. I just have like these just like very general early premises, but I don't know how it's all going to work together. I mean, I just started
Yeah.
even
Well,
thinking
yeah,
about
you're not
this.
gonna have all the answers. It's
Yeah.
like a treasure hunt. When
Yeah.
you're making a movie, you get a billion steps.
Yeah.
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 And you can do
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's really cool about Movers Ultimate 2. And, selfishly, I hope that you make a lot more comedies, and hopefully the way the algorithms have been improving more and more with finding your audience, I
hmm
think it's going to be easier and easier to, even if you're making a, so to speak, broad comedy, I'm optimistic that it'll be easier to find that audience in the coming years. And, we need people like you in the comedy space, the comedy film
And
space. There aren't too many.
you,
Oh,
the
yeah.
bends of the world will unite.
Oh, yeah.
Rise up
That was what I
and get
told Terrell.
more frontal male nudity.
Yeah.
No, man, you don't want to see that. So.
No. Yeah, probably not here too. Well, we'll stick to boobs. But yeah, no, I was telling Terrell, I was saying, if I ever get a big break and get like a big budget and get to like create my inner circle, like how Judd Apatow did. I mean, I think that that's a big reason why those movies are so great, because they had like, I don't know how many people, I've listened to him talk about it. I don't know if it was 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever the case may be, but they just had such a great brain trust of such funny people, and they would all get together, and they would like, even though it's like written by Judd Apatow, it's like,
Yeah.
and he'll say this too, like it was still like heavily inspired by like 20 different people.
Dude,
And
for sure. They're all. I mean, there's not enough room on the story or screenplay cards for all of the input he's getting from everybody. But they are all just so cool with each other.
yeah,
And they just knew each other's their groove.
and
I mean,
he'll do the same thing like for Superbad. Like
hmm
he helped out a ton on that, and I mean just so many other films from that era that you can think of, and like
There
his
was
name's
a
not.
new raunchy comedy coming out every 2 weeks. Dude, you got to go back and look this up. I did one time, and just how quick those movies were churning out. It's impossible to write that fast, even with
Yeah.
two people. They're
Oh
all
yeah.
working together.
Yeah. No, 100%. But Yeah, no, I mean, I would love to collaborate with you at some point, and like it would be, I would love to, hopefully we get our shot in Hollywood to make those sorts of comedies, and because I think we are on similar wavelengths. We want similar things in our comedies, and I think
I
it would
think,
be a
yeah,
cool collaboration.
no, I think so too. I think the thing is like it's not a crime. There's nothing wrong with making just crude humor. There's a difference between crude and crass. I had a guy interview me about this when I was doing movers. I thought it was a really good question. And he was like, "Are you being crass or are you being crude?" And he sounded like Sean Connery or something. And I'm like, "Oh man." And I'm like, honestly, like I thought about every word they said way more than you would think. I promise. Every single, penis, euphemism in there was strategically placed.
Yeah.
And he's like, I thought you walked the line very well. I'm like, oh, I'm like, stranger, like that means so much from you because your accent is very impressive. Um, and when you're doing that, and you're not just like trying to be crude, then I think that you get the creative points for it. Then that's a cool move to make. It's a strategic, you're being crude strategically.
Yeah, right on. I like it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, no, we're not just doing this to act like we're 9 years old and trying to show off our potty mouths. No, this is just what we think. This is funny. This is funny, and it's okay. It's okay to laugh at this. No
Yeah.
Hard Feelings was like the biggest blessing that came out 2 years ago with
Mhm.
Jennifer Lawrence, and there's that beach scene where she just like shows everything and beats up the teenagers, and it's like, oh, I'm like in a time machine. It's
Yeah.
2009 again. Ah!
Yeah, no, I definitely felt that during that scene. Yeah, I mean, because that's yeah, you would not see something like that 2 years prior to that movie being made.
No,
No, yeah. And I mean,
I
another
want
thing
to.
too is you just got to be true to the characters. And I've spoken on this before in other videos or other podcasts, but a lot of the time, the funniest people aren't the most becoming people. Like a lot of the funniest characters in the movies we love are like just like really immature and they don't have their priorities straight and everything. And a lot of comedy comes from that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And, they're going to say and do things that aren't very polite or professional or whatever. And it does a disservice if you're all of a sudden like changing their dialogue to meet whatever test you got to meet so that this producer gives you the thumbs up.
Sure. I mean, I think when you're watching those characters who they don't have their shit together and they're saying whatever they want to do or say, I mean, you could say it about like Jennifer Lawrence in that movie, and it's like, well, I'm loving this because she's saying and acting exactly the way that I wish I could get by, just saying and acting like she's just walking the walk.
Right on. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, just jumping into the two questions that I ask all my guests. So, number one, what gives you optimism for the future of the film industry? And if you want to be ambitious, what also gives you optimism for the future of the comedy film industry?
You said optimism and not pessimism, right?
No, no, no pessimism.
I'm totally kidding. I'm 100% kidding. I mean, I think like objectively, you can kind of look at the movie industry the way that it is today and the way that it was 40 years ago, back when we didn't have digital cameras and you really had to pay to play. Even if you wanted to make your low budget movie, I
Mhm.
mean, you're going to still need the equivalent of what, like, 300 grand or so today, even to make just like a super cheap flick
Right.
back then, maybe. Um, that was cool. And you got your creative freedom, and there were less movies back then than there are today. That's the big thing.
Hmm.
It's money and saturation. But I think I would rather have saturation and have the tools to do what we want to do because having the creativity to go and find your audience and find a way to get your movie out of there sounds like something I'd rather put on my shoulders than raising a shitload of capital that I
Hmm.
don't have. And that also means that you do get that creative control.
Hmm.
So the industry has been shifting so rapidly, for the last, oh man, the last like 10, 15 years, I would say.
Hmm.
I didn't start working on Don't Run until Amazon Prime opened up their gates saying, we're
Right.
taking independent movies. I remember sitting in my parents' basement, just like trolling, all of the online, the websites that new, like indie people do. And
Hmm.
that popped up. I'm like, it's happening. It's a sign. And I just went to work right away. And it's just like, it's been two steps forward, one step back ever since.
Hmm.
And it's going in a good direction, like it's a weird industry. It's different than, I haven't worked in every single job on the planet, but I can imagine it's different than most jobs out there.
Yeah.
And, it's not about necessarily being able to do, like my wedding crashers right now, or me being able to do my backdraft immediately, but we're snowballing upwards. And I'm
Hmm.
really excited about the trajectory that we're going in.
Yeah, well said. I like it. And then jumping into the last question, what are your top 5 comedy movies of all time? I'm curious how many of ours will match. I was shocked. I matched 3 of 5 with Terrell, and I don't think I've even gotten one with anyone prior to this.
Oh, man. I am going to surprise you a little bit, I'm sure.
Probably.
I also got 10 years on you, so that's like 10 more years of watching movies that
Oh no, you
I
might say movies I've never seen before.
uh So I'd say my number one comedy is Sideways. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Dude, Sideways is so good. It is just, objectively like the greatest comedy script of all time. It is so funny. And it's just like it's just awesome. And there's some frontal male nudity in there, just like the icing on the cake. Check that one out. Like as soon
Okay.
as possible. Um, and then Adventureland has
Okay.
been one
I
that
have
definitely
seen that
sneaks
one.
up. Yeah, man. Adventureland definitely like actually Trump super bad for me. It didn't for a long
Wow.
time. I know for the last like 10 years or so, I'd be like, I don't know why. I'm just really feeling like a rewatch on that. Sex Drive is a big one for me. I
Okay.
wrote like one of my
I
like thesis papers in college on that.
mhm.
Um,
I have seen that one, yeah.
Sex Drive rules. Way, way. Are we allowed to say that even though it's not like super vulgar?
Way, way back.
Oh, it's good. So if way, way back has got like Sam Rockwell and
Okay.
Steve Carell, Tony Colletti. It's an awesome coming of age comedy. It takes place in the '80s.
Okay.
Written and directed by Nat Faxon and Jim Rash. Oh, it's so good. And what is that? Sideways.
I think that's 4. Sideways, Adventureland, Sex Drive, and Way, Way Back.
And my last one, I would say, and this is definitely going to be a little off key, but my favorite, and like definitely my top 5 would be Parenthood with Steve Martin and Rick Moranis.
Okay. I actually have not seen this. This sounds like it's probably from the 80s.
Yeah, it's from '89. It's a Ron
Huh.
Howard movie.
Oh,
And
I love Ron Howard. Okay. I'm already
yeah,
in.
man, they're just so funny, and they've all just got so much heart to it too. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I could tell you're definitely a big on the heart because I mean outside of Sex Drive it sounds like these are all very like Adventureland, it was funny, but it's like it has very
yeah, man,
serious
it's
undertones.
it's not like a hardcore knee slapper the entire way through.
Yeah.
But then, like, I would say, like, Kingpin is, like, one of the most laugh out loud movies I've
Mhm.
ever seen at the same time, too. I think that's definitely got to be my favorite of the brothers. I can't remember their name. We had some Dumb and Dumber, something about Mary. Kingpin is a masterpiece.
That's the
Fairly.
Fairly, yeah.
But, like, then I was thinking this a little bit earlier today, too. Dude, the hardest I've laughed in a movie theater in the past, 5 years has got to be the end scene of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, that was good. We're going on more than 5 years, but that was good.
Yeah,
That
sorry.
was like 7 years ago. I know
Yeah,
time flies.
dude, I was just falling out of my chair to
Yeah,
take that
that
scene
was
without giving away a movie that everyone should have seen by now. It's
yeah.
just like, if you consider that a comedy, like that probably would slip into
That's
my top
pushing
5
it.
on
I
there
think that's
too.
pushing it.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
probably fair.
yeah, I mean, no, that was a good one. That I love that movie and Mickey Madison. I'm really cool to see. I'm really pumped to see how she's arced. Like she did Scream and now Honora. I don't know if you've seen Honora yet, but I was really happy for her that she got the. Okay, well you'll love it because there's a ton of nudity in it, but
Yeah.
It's Sean Baker.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's his most recent movie.
That one's got some heat around it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like good heat. Okay, cool.
Oh, I mean, it got like heat too.
Oh, well, oh, Sean. Well, his
Yeah.
last movie was about like the porn industry, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And this
With
one's
Samuel.
about
That was
yeah,
great.
yeah. And then this one's about strippers.
Classic Sean.
Yeah. No, it's it's a good movie. And Mickey Madison. Do you know who that is? It's fine if you don't. She was one of the Manson family in that movie.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I know which one you're talking about. The main one that Brad Pitt picks up in his car.
No, that's Margaret Qualley. Mickey Madison's one
Okay.
like, we're going to Hollywood, man.
Uh,
You know what? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was really cool to see her get a starring role. But
really, Austin Butler in that movie. That was like the Dazed and Confused of like the 2000s jumping off point for like mainstream acting.
yeah. Yeah, he was just in Bike Riders. I don't know if you saw that. That was my favorite movie of 2024.
It was mine as well.
Really? Oh my
And
god. I have
I
not heard anyone say that. I'm so
Dude.
excited.
Hey Morgan, Ben just said Bike Riders was his favorite movie of 2024. Yeah, she's like, oh, of course it was.
That movie was so good. The first thing I said when I walked into the theater was that was a masterclass on acting and directing.
Mike Nichols is, speaking of just independent filmmaking, if you have just followed his story of just making shotgun stories, he is the dude who had no favors. He was coming up in like the mid 2000s who had to put together that money and make a banger movie shooting on film. And he found Michael Shannon, which was good for both of them.
Yeah.
And there's a reason he comes out with one movie every 5 years, is because he has just so much attention to detail, and I imagine he just has to work so hard.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. I love Bike Riders. That's
so
my favorite
good.
of his movies.
Yeah.
I tell that movie to everybody looking for something like solid to watch.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. No, that was phenomenal. No, that's so cool to meet someone who enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yeah, man.
If you're curious, my 5 would be.
I am sorry. Yes, I am.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not
no problem. No. Well, I got 3 of them behind me. Actually, and the one I don't mention, Ted 2, that was the hardest I've ever laughed in a theater.
Ted 2 is so good. When you were talking about Seth MacFarlane earlier, I was going to say Ted 2 doesn't get enough love. And then I saw it behind you, and I thought, okay, Ben knows.
Yeah, it's way better than the original.
I think so, too.
So Wedding Crashers, the mirror, Wedding Crashers would be number 1, Superbad number 2, Fast Times at Ridgemont High number 3, American Pie number 4, and Euro Trip number 5.
Euro Trip is so good.
It's so good.
I think they're all so good. Euro Trip is like one of those like unsung heroes that, you know what I mean? I mean, like, it's kind of sneaking into that list of classics the way that Grandma's Boy does.
Yeah.
Where it's like maybe it wasn't like an absolute box office smash, but everybody
Oh, it
knows
bombed.
it's just a banger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah, no, so good. And yeah, so Terrell and I, we matched on American Pie, which surprised me. I didn't realize he would like that movie as much as he did.
He does. I remember in college he was saying that.
Euro Trip, he liked Euro Trip as well, and Superbad. I'm trying to think, what were his other 2? Tropic Thunder and
Nice.
shit, I can't remember what the other one was, but yeah, no, it was crazy to have that many matches.
We used to watch like the same like 3 movies in college all the time. I feel like we would just hear him blaring from his room. He had a double all to himself somehow. Yeah, this gentleman that Ben interviewed previously, he's doing very well for himself, and I randomly lived on his floor my freshman year of college. He showed up to the semester late, mysteriously has a double room, like 2 beds to himself, while we're all living in like tiny little prison cells. This is just the mystery that is Terrell Boaz.
Yeah.
A very, very sweet man.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, it was great speaking with you. This was a really fun podcast for sure.
Yeah, you too, man. Oh, I love this. Anytime, dude. Come talk movies with somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Right on. And I am stopping.